Hey everyone, it's Melissa with the M Word. I thank you for watching another video. I really appreciate it. I am a mom of 3 kiddos. I homeschool and have been for the last 2.5 years. My children are 10 months, 3 years, and 7. We are still finishing up our level K language arts because in kindergarten we learned that the curriculum I had picked for my kid was not working. We originally went with All About Reading, which came with our Timberdoodle kit. I love All About Reading. I am dyslexic. I feel like if somebody had taught me the way All About Reading teaches it, I would have figured it out. My daughter, I think she might be dyslexic too. I'm not really sure. But it wasn't working. We were hours after hours after hours. We were both getting frustrated and she still hadn't learned a single word. Not one. Not one. We were in January of last year now. And I was like, done. We're starting over in All About Reading. We'll just start from page 1 and start forward again. Figure out what is going on. And it never did really fix it. Nothing I did seemed to click. Like we sped through it a little bit because what we've already done, but the minute we hit where we hadn't been already, we were already chugging through. Like it was just a struggle. And they said, I think it was 20 minutes that you were supposed to do. So just 20 minutes of All About Reading a day. But if I only did 20 minutes, we wouldn't even get through one chapter, like one lesson in 3 weeks. It was taking us so long and I was so frustrated and my daughter was frustrated. Like the amount of time that she was constantly still in the same lesson, because you got a little sticker every time you finished a lesson, and it took us so long to finish a lesson that she was defeated that she'd only had 3 stickers. Like she worked 2 to 3 weeks at a time and she'd get the 1 sticker to finish out that section. And I was frustrated and she was frustrated. So the whole point of that is that I ordered the language arts from The Good and the Beautiful. So I started with their pre-K and I ordered that as a printable version. And I ordered that last June-ish. It was close to the start of, I want to say it was last June. It was in the summer. And we started that. We powered through pre-K. I was worried if I didn't start at pre-K, like maybe there was something in there that she needed to know. I thought maybe she could handle K, but we were struggling so much that I didn't want to put her in K if she wasn't ready for it. So I put her in the pre-K of The Good and the Beautiful language arts. And then we started language arts level K in July. It was end of July. So we are now, we started this in, so we went through all of pre-K first. So it was September before we started this. So September of her 1st grade year, I started her in language arts K. She has been powering through it. She is just a champ. She's got sight word letters. I'll try to move and show you guys. So she is doing sight letters. They have the sight words where you can color. We're horrible about making sure she colors it and checking them off, so ignore that. But they have these, like what they should know ahead of time. I don't use their Phonics Card, so that's why this isn't filled out. There's nothing wrong with them, and they probably are super helpful, and I should use them, and I just don't. I have no reason why I don't. You probably should use them if you use this curriculum. I also know that they have just revamped the language arts curriculum, so mine is the old version, so it might be obsolete to you, but I also know that they are discounting the current version until they're sold out, so it might help you decide if you want to get it. But so they have basically everything in this one thing. They have handwriting, spelling, art study, a little bit of geography, spelling, reading, all of it, right, in our language arts. So this one, like lesson 1 was 2-letter words, part 1, and this was about the painting. And then they went in on reading it up at us. And then independent practice, she was just supposed to trace these and say the words and decide which ones were real words and which ones weren't. And if I look at where we started, she has come so far, just so far. We are in currently, I'm flipping through. I'm sorry, I'm flipping through to where we are. So like lesson 40 was poetry, where she would read the poems. So I read these poems to her, and then they decided what to do. And then they had like optional artwork where she could make a little spider. Even her handwriting has so improved. Like she wrote girl, boy, love, one, girl, boy, the girl. She wrote all that. Like her handwriting is improving. I'm so proud of her. But they do spelling. They have like these. They teach B and D as D likes to eat donuts because it comes with the donut first, the donut. And then B likes bats, so a bat and then the ball. However, my daughter writes the bat and then draws the ball and still draws a D. So I printed these the other day. It's how I learned it in school. D wears a diaper and B has a belly, and I will see if maybe that helps her or not. I loved bat and ball, a bat and donut analogy. I thought it was ingenious. I was like, how could this possibly be wrong? Until my daughter's like, yeah, I'm drawing the bat first and then the ball. But she's putting it on the wrong side. So we're trying. But you can see her handwriting is improving here. She had to match the B's to the things that started with a B. She has been, so we are almost to Unit 3. We are on lesson 50. So we started lesson 50 yesterday, but we did not completely finish it. 2-year-old or almost 3-year-old and a 10-month-old is sometimes we just have to put it away even though we're not done. But I mean, she's at a point where, so the lessons are pretty quick, but she's at a point where she's really starting to get it. We're pretty bad about reading, handling the mini books too. I laminated them all. I put them beautifully. I bound them. I'll go show you what. Hold on. I laminated their Phonics card. I just bought this from Amazon. Their Phonics cards are pretty self-explanatory. You know, that's what they look like. They have words on them that they're supposed to send out, endings of words. They're great. I'm a horrible homeschooler and don't always do all the pieces. I also bound all these little books. I cut them all out, I laminated them, and I bound them. And these are the little mini books that come with them. She's supposed to read these. We don't always do it. I probably should, but we don't. About every other time we will read them. She does a good job with them though. But she's always free to take them too and look at them and read them whenever she wants. They are getting more and more into the independent studies and more into the she needs to read this. So she's to read these 2 poems. And for the next lesson, the following day, she is to do her sight words, her phonics cards, read the good beginner books to you or other books that we have of the same level. We did not buy the beginner books as well because I put so much money into All About Reading 1 and 2 that I wasn't sure I wanted to put a ton of money into something else that wasn't going to work and I wanted to see first. But I'm glad I did. And I did go ahead and order level 1 because I wanted to get her through this and level 1 before she started 2nd grade. So, and we are on track to do that. So that is a plus there too. But here's independent. She'll read each sentence and then fill it in herself. This is independent practice. And they do a great job about laying that out. And then, so lesson 2, we'll go back to some sample art again. And then B or D is her independent practice, and then some independent practice on spelling. Unit review will be the following day. We've got some more B or D work. Read to the child, dictate some spelling words, independent work for B or D. Over here is the mini book. There is memorizing a page. It says work at least 5 minutes with the child on memorizing the poem on this page. Continue to work on this poem in future lessons. The vowels again. We're really good about just randomly throwing out the vowels, and we watched a lot of YouTube videos on ABCs for my youngest 3-year-old, so I think she'll be okay. Then lesson 34 is the unit assessment. So complete the assessment if your child needs help in any of the areas. And then I want to show you the assessments in the back is the reading assessments. So they're to read these, and then you're just to put the date, the amount of time it took her, and how many incorrect they had for each passage. And I'm excited to see what hers will look like this time around. I really think it's gonna make a difference. Then there's reading assessment B as well. And it tells you which one to do, whether you're doing reading assessment A or B. And then in the back, there's also review practice sheets. There is silent E practice charts, additional poetry memorization. Now, I haven't come across this too much in the book yet. I feel like I would have if it wasn't something that was definitely incorporated into it, since we're on lesson 50 already. But I could be wrong. Maybe we're just now starting to get into it, since we're just now soon going to be allowed to let her look at the reader. And I'll go get the reader in a second. I forgot to grab that. But these are like the poems that they were to memorize. And then they just, you know, I memorized these poems and I recited them. They have additional spelling practice. So like your traditional, here's your spelling words and weekly spelling words. And here I dictate them, you spell. I have these spelling charts, spelling words, and if they can spell them, and then once they mastered being able to spell these, they can color the little picture. And my daughter, I have never realized that coloring a picture was so exciting to her. Like, oh my goodness. And we haven't tried this yet. We use All About Spelling. So I wonder if I tried doing this, if she would really like it or not. So my spelling words, you color them as she masters them. It says spelling is taught directly in the lessons. All as children learn phonics principles for reading purposes. They also practice spelling. If you want to have your child practice additional spelling words, you may use the optional spelling chart here in the appendix. However, the spelling in the lessons should be sufficient for most children. As children learn to read and write and are exposed to words through reading, they will naturally learn to spell many words. I believe spelling is important in level K, but that a greater focus should be on learning to read quickly and efficiently. So, I mean, again, this is level K. She is almost done with it though, and I'm so proud of her. Give me 1 second and I will show you the level K reader. It came already printed and bound when I ordered it. It has fun, you can do it, Meg and Matt, here we go. Like the wagon. And then Elf has a wagon, it is big and fun. The wagon can go fast. Elf sees Zach, let's go play. And then let's see. Helping, the boys are done. They put the sticks in a big can. Zach, so I mean, they're beautifully done. They're good. Like the curriculum says, they're good and they're beautiful. There's never anything in here that ever questions me of whether or not I should be teaching it to my child or not. The only thing that I questioned was, I will just show it to you because I don't want to get in trouble. And I don't think I would, but it was about rubber boots, and it was a poem. Oh, also, I'm jumping now, I'm sorry. So they had her read Bobby and the Big Road, right? And we went through chapter 7, and I don't know how long Bobby and the Big Road is, but like chapter 10 of Bobby and the Big Road is the last time I remember reading Bobby and the Big Road. And my daughter looked at me this week and goes, Mommy, when are we going to read Bobby and the Big Road again? She loved that book, and I'm curious as if, like, it says the end, like, was that it? Like, is there only 10 chapters in Bobby and the Big Road? And I tried Googling it, and Google, like, doesn't know what I'm talking about, so I might have to try Googling a little bit more specifically and finding out, because my daughter liked that book, and I'm a little sad that she can't keep reading it as we go through the book. But there was a poem, April Day. It starts up here and explains, please explain rubbers mean rubber boots. And I know the other word for that and what it means, and I had trouble reading her the poem. So that is on me and my preconceived notions of the world, I guess. But I didn't want her running around also calling her rain boots rubbers, because, yeah, I just don't want her doing that. I live in an area where that would not go well for her, and I don't want her picked on for something she doesn't understand, and that wouldn't be fair. And that's also probably preconceived notions I have. I highly doubt anybody would even notice that she did it. I'm sure many places in the world just refer to rain boots as rubbers. Like, I don't know why I'm having a problem with it, but that was the only thing so far I found that was weird. We are also, like I mentioned before, we are not necessarily religious homeschoolers, but I don't find anything wrong with saying, writing, reading occasionally that God made the earth and God loves us. There's no hardcore religious teaching in there. There's no Bible verse study. There's nothing like that. I think the other day, let me check. Okay, I'm all the way back to page 19 trying to find what I was thinking about the other day that I remember seeing, and I still haven't seen the word God again. That doesn't mean that I haven't missed it. Like, it could probably be in there and I missed it. But that's how infrequently it comes up. Like, the course isn't here to teach you about God or religion. The course is here to teach your daughter how to read or your children how to read. We may not be necessarily religious homeschoolers, and I may have originally wanted to keep all of our studies secular in the sense that I didn't want to be a religious homeschooler. I'm not saying that is or isn't what our religion is. I'm just saying that I wanted to keep religion out of our homeschool. However, I've also found that that's almost impossible. We occasionally, like in the art studies, they'll ask, you know, what is beautiful here? But what is beautiful isn't have anything to do with God, in my opinion. I mean, the world is beautiful, regardless of how that was or wasn't created. So I don't think that there's anything in here that is pushing religion on a child. Honestly, I feel like my history, my secular history, is pushing religion more than our homeschool, or like the good and the beautiful Christian curriculum is. And it's not that history is pushing religion in like a Christianity way or in a bad way. It's just showing all religions. It's currently, we're going through ancient Greece, and we're learning all about, in her history, we're learning all about ancient Greece and ancient Greece gods and goddesses, or gods and the Greek mythology, however you want to put it. So she often throughout the day goes, Mom, hey, I don't understand how Mother Earth or the God Earth is Earth. Like, she's asking all these questions. And then I'm having to remind her that not everything, that's a whole nother video. I'll get into that later. My point is that I think my secular history is more religious filled than this Christian language arts book is. It mentions God. It mentions that God created things. It mentions that God loves you. It mentions that, that's basically it, honestly. It mentions that God loves you and that God is beautiful, and that is really it. It does not teach Bible verses. It doesn't teach the Bible in general. It doesn't teach Christianity. It definitely does not teach Mormonism or whatever religion Jenny is that everybody freaks out about. I don't think that's a big deal. She is not out here pushing Christianity on nobody, I promise. I think it's just honestly what it is. It is good and beautiful curriculum. There is no junk. There's nothing scary that I have to worry about my child reading. I have never had to worry about what she is reading in these books ahead of time. My preconceived notions about the thing with the rubber boots is on me, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything actually wrong with it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with All About Reading either. I think it's a perfectly good, secular, good, wholesome curriculum as well. I'm not saying that they have anything negative or bad in them. I'm just saying that I'm glad that I don't have to worry about what she's reading in here or how she's learning it. And I really do not feel, in my opinion, that it is so religious that it is just not allowed in my homeschool. I do think it really is what it is, just good and beautiful, and it teaches your child how to read. But if you have any questions in my very long-winded account of all that, I'm sorry. Please let me know in the comments below. I really appreciate it when you guys like and subscribe. I also have Instagram and TikTok. I'm not super active on either. I basically just show you what we do during the day. But I will see you guys in the next video.